watching Gearz, brought to you by Ram Truck.
You know, some of the most famous stories in American folklore have to do with people being able to do impossible things, like finding treasure, or visiting the wizard, or checking out the chocolate factory. The problem is, to be able to do these things, according to the legend, took a special key, or ruby slippers, or a golden ticket. Of course, everybody knows that in real life, those things don't exist. But what if they did? What if you had a pass that would allow you to go down to like GM and build your own engine using all their parts, all their equipment, and all their tools? That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Well, GM thought it would be. That's why they've come out with a program that's completely unheard of in the history of the aftermarket. Instead of just selling you a crate engine, they're going to allow you to go down to GM and build your own LS7 or LS9 crate engine.
This is really an amazing experience. You're coming into a GM facility. This is a factory environment, and you're working hand in hand with experts that build these engines every day, except you become the expert. You're the one that physically handles the tools and all the parts, and you put your crate engine together.
Now, I know you're probably thinking, wait a minute, how is that possible? There's got to be some sort of catch. No, no catch. We're talking a real LS7 with a factory warranty and your name on the build sheet. How do we know? Because we had the privilege of building one of the very first ones. Check it out. When you walk into the GM Performance Build Center in Wixom, Michigan, it may take you a minute to get over the size and the scope of the operation and the fact that you're actually supposed to be there. However, this quickly disappears once you hook up with the technician. Now, these are official GM gloves, aren't they?
We're looking for upper and lower oil rail plus the expander.
That's going to be supervising your engine build. We got Ron Hine, who's got a lot of years of experience building engines at GM. Starting with the bottom end, the piston and rod assemblies are inspected, the bearings are installed, and then set aside. I got to get one of these cards. Next, it's time to prep the block, and this includes installing the cam and getting the mains ready. Now, for quality control, every step of this process is controlled by the computer, and each step must be finished and cleared off before the computer will allow you to continue to the next step. The computer also controls the torque specs on the air ratchet, so there's no under-torquing or over-torquing bolts. They are perfect every time. The only drawback to this system is that you can't upgrade or mix or match parts. So forget about slipping an LS9 cam into your LS7. Believe me, we tried. So when you're building these engines, you ever get tempted to put LS9 parts in an LS7? With the block prepped, it's time to drop in the crankshaft, and special tools and machines make this a breeze. But that's nothing compared to this tool that torques the main caps to spec. Check it out. You got a torque machine with handlebars on it, man. How cool is that? Now, you're probably wondering what happens if there's a problem or one of the parts are bad.
They're a call button.
Well, a simple push of a button brings a supervisor over to check out the problem. Then, if the parts are bad, they're replaced and the trouble codes are cleared so you can continue the buildup.
I don't know if we can get a leader over here or not. We'll push the button.
You gotta see the grin on his face. He goes, we'll see what happens when we push this button. The pistons slide in next. Then it's just a matter of finishing up the short block with the timing set in the cover, the oil pump, and the dry sump oil pan.
Right there. Then you got it there? Yep. You just push her down.
From From there, it's on to the next station where the lifters are installed to get the block ready for these big aluminum heads that are not only fully dressed with valves and springs, but they're also one of the main contributing factors to the incredible power that the LS7 is able to generate.
There is nothing in the market right now like our Build Your Own Crate Engine program, and we think there's enthusiasts out there that see these incredible high-performance vehicles and the engines that power them, and they want that experience, so we're going to give that to them.
With the heads in place, out comes this wild-looking machine that looks like a mechanical cow udder. And with the throttle and handlebars, you know this thing's going to be a fun ride. But what it actually does is it torques all the head bolts down to the correct spec at the same time. Is this cool or what? The long block is finished up with push rods and rockers going on, as well as valve covers, water pump, and intake manifold.
Make sure they're all the same length and that there's nothing in the ports.
This is starting to look like an engine.
Get it set there.
Hey, welcome back to Gearz, where we are in the process of building our own LS7 crate engine. But we're not doing it here, and we're not using our tools. We're doing it at GM using their tools, and you can do it too. Check it out.
So there's a program that an enthusiast can participate in where you can come into this facility and build your own LS7 or LS9 engine. There's two ways you can get that experience. One, you can buy a new Z06 or ZR1 Corvette and opt to come in and build your Corvette's new engine, or a brand new program to build your own crate engine. So if you order an LS7 or an LS9 crate engine, you can pay a little bit more money, come in and hand build your own engine.
Now at this point, most of the major components are in place, but there's still a lot to go on to finish up the engine. So on goes the coil packs. All kinds of small parts, plugs, and stampings to make sure that this is a true GM certified engine when it's done.
Oh, that's good. I'm impressed.
This means checking off each part at each station to make sure nothing gets left behind or forgotten. The LS7 even comes with a clutch and flywheel assembly, so you are ready for the transmission of your choice, as long as it's not an automatic. And finally, after the work and assembly is done, the engine goes to the dyno room to be run in and tested to make sure it's performing the way it should. And to hear an engine that you've built come to life for the first time is always a special moment. Wind that thing up, man. Roll it up to about 4,000. Even more special is the fact that you are immortalized forever in the GM archives as the builder of this particular engine.
Part of the great experience here is you come here, you build your engine, we'll take your picture with the engine you built, we'll put the picture up on the wall, and you become enshrined right here at the Performance Build Center. It's really a lifetime experience. If you want to build your own LS7, head to gmperformanceparts.com for more information, or call your local Chevy dealer and we'll get you hooked up.
So when you leave GM, you take with you an incredible experience and all the documentation and paperwork that you're going to need for that engine. But the best part is, when that crate rolls in a few days, you know what's inside. Your very own LS7. You know, a few weeks ago, we started a build-up on a supercar called the SLC to show that it's possible for a guy to build a vehicle with the looks and the style and the performance of a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, but on a Corvette budget. Now, anytime you start talking exotic cars, people start talking mid-engine, which of course means the engine's not in the front, it's not all the way in the back, it's right here in the middle. So the performance and the handling and the balance of the vehicle is just incredible. But there are some parts that are very specific to building a mid-engine car. First one, of course, is the transaxle. Let's take a look. Now, a transaxle is exactly what it sounds like. It's a transmission, drive shaft, and rear end all packed into one tiny little box here. Power goes in this end, all your gears are back here, then you have drive flanges on either side that run out to your wheels. Now, this particular transaxle is out of a late model Porsche 997 twin turbo. It's a 6-speed, and we got it from a place called Gearz because they specialize in rebuilding, hot rodding, and modifying all kinds of Porsche transaxles. They've been doing it for 15 years, and they've got it dialed in. For example, this in the Porsche will mount like this with the engine in the back. However, we're doing a mid-engine car, so we not only need to turn it around, we also need to roll it upside down because we want 6 forward gears, not 6 gears in reverse. Now, obviously, you're not going to go get one of these in a junkyard, roll it upside down and put it in your car and expect it to live. That's where Gearz comes in. They not only rebuild it, they'll set it up with the gears that you want to run the speeds that you want. They modify the oiling so the thing will not only live upside down, it will actually run better this way than it did in the factory Porsche, and that is saying a lot. Now, obviously, traction is an issue, and you need a limited slip in this box. And as you guessed, a transaxle needs a different limited slip. Check it out. This comes from OS Geiken, and it's called the Superlite LSD, and it's the result of years of experience in the racing world. Now, it features an incredible 28 discs inside that provide smooth, progressive locking up to 100% when you need it, and yet it's very quiet and compliant during normal street driving. The best part is the Superlite is tunable, it requires no break-in period, and it's equally at home on the street or the track. If you're going to stick one of these in your car, you need to put one of those in it, and Gearz will be glad to put it in when they're setting up your box. And that brings up the biggest issue that people have with a transaxle: cost. They think they're too expensive. But when you compare this with what it's replacing in your typical hot rod, a Tremec 6-speed, a nice drive shaft, and a fully dressed Ford 9-inch, you're going to find that the cost is pretty comparable. And you got to have one for a mid-engine car. So you got to factor this into your budget. Okay, obviously the engine that we're going to be putting in the SLC is this LS7 that we just built. But as you probably guessed, this clutch and flywheel that came with the engine is way too big to fit inside this little bell housing. So we need a clutch and flywheel. It's going to bridge the gap between an American V8 and a German transaxle. And Spec Clutches are the guys that specialize in this. Check it out. This is the Spec Stage 3 Plus clutch system, and it's loaded with cool features. The flywheel is aluminum and weighs in just over 7 pounds, and it has a replaceable high-carbon steel friction plate for infinite rebuildability. The clutch disc is a semi-metallic full-face design for incredible hold and drivability, and then the pressure plate is designed to give incredible clamping power and still give you a nice pedal feel. So, even though the Spec clutch is smaller, this thing will handle over 800 foot-pounds of torque and deal with anything that you want to throw at it on a racetrack. But at the same time, it's still going to give you good pedal pressure, and it's going to last a long time, which is really important when you see what's involved in swapping a clutch in a mid-engine car. We'll start with the piece that makes this all possible: the aluminum plate that comes from Superlite and is designed to bolt an LS engine to the inverted Porsche transaxle. Next, the flywheel bolts to the crankshaft using the supplied bolt. Now, using the alignment tool that comes with the clutch, install the disc in the pressure plate. Make sure that the tool slides out easily and is not binding up, or you'll never get the transaxle to bolt up properly. Now we're ready to bolt the transaxle to the engine. Now this is going to take a little bit of wiggling and pushing and pulling to get the clutch fork and all the hardware lined up inside the transaxle. Fortunately, Gearz has a special alignment tool that makes this easier. With the engine and the transaxle bolted together, we'll install these special urethane motor mounts that are specifically designed to put an LS engine in the SLC. Okay, the last thing we need to do before we can put this drivetrain in that car is take the body back off so we can fit the engine. Now, set the crossmember in place, then lower the engine down onto it. The engine bolts at the crossmember and at the transaxle adapter plate. Now drill your mounting holes for the crossmember. And bolt it in. Man, is that a great fit or what? So you have a Chevy V8 backed by a German transaxle in a supercar designed by a British guy, all made in America, with the intention of outrunning the best that the Europeans have to offer. Yeah, only on Gearz.
Now, quick tip. Brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs. Born to burn.
You know, one of the biggest issues that a car guy can face, especially on a big project, is keeping it all organized. Now, most of us know that you need to keep some sort of a notebook on what you've done on the vehicle so you can remember it. But the problem with the notebook is you lose it, so you start another one. And then that one gets written on and drawn on, and you lose that, so you start another and another. And pretty soon, your notebooks are more disorganized than your project. Well, fortunately, there is a solution to that, and it is called a project build book. You can get these right on our website. Now, as you can see, these things have every possible thing that you would ever want to know about a project, all laid out nice and simple and easy to find as you make changes. Now, as you can see, this has everything that you could ever want to know about a vehicle, all listed, easy to find, easy to change as you modify the vehicle. Drivetrain specs, engine specs, brakes, paint codes, it's all here. And the more you work on the vehicle and the more time that goes by, the more important it is to have something like this, especially if you've got multiple projects going. Now, whether you use a build book or a notebook, remember this: keeping your project organized is one of the best ways to keep it moving forward.
And now, Parts Bin, brought to you by Heartthrob Exhaust, where technology and craftsmanship come together.
In the quest to find the toughest automatic transmission for your project, most people have discovered that Monster Transmission is the place to go. Because they not only dyno test their stuff to make sure it's exactly what you want, but they also offer a whole line of transmissions, transfer cases, parts, accessories for all kinds of heavy-duty and high-performance vehicles. But that's not all. Now they offer a custom coating called VisiCoat. Check this out. This is a custom paint process that you can get on the transmission pan, your engine accessories, heck, the whole transmission body if you want. Whatever you want to put it on, they'll put it on. And the best part is this stuff is heat and chemical resistant, so it's not going to chip off, it's not going to flake off, it's not going to burn off. Once it's on there, it's on. As you can see, they've got all kinds of patterns available, so you can literally make your transmission come alive, or not. If you want a transmission that looks as good as it runs, you gotta get a Monster transmission.
What are you working on? Brought to you by Dake. If you have the dream, we have the tools.
Today's What Are You Working On comes from Kurt Gerbers from Mount Morris, Michigan, and Kurt had a problem. He wanted to get his mother something for her birthday. but his mother has always wanted a yellow MG midget. So Kirk and his dad started looking around in barns and they found this. Now, as you can see, that car didn't look too bad, but there was one other issue. They only had 3 months to get the car finished if they were gonna make it in time for Mom's birthday. So the first thing they did was dig into the engine, and surprisingly enough, they were able to get that thing running. Kirk says it runs great, which is shocking for an MG. But as they dug into the body and the interior, they found some more problems. So the whole thing was stripped, it was sandblasted, then they welded in body panels, did some filler, did a lot of sanding, and then it was finally ready for paint. But this wasn't just a one-man show here. Check this out. This is his 3-year-old daughter helping out with the project, and here's his wife taking care of some of the dead bodies that they found in the car. Now, the thing is, Kirk said that this came right down to the wire, but they just made it for Mom's birthday. Here's a shot of the finished car with Mom in it, ready to take that first drive. So, Kirk, our way of recognizing what a great job that you did and rendering your mother speechless, we hooked up with our buddies at Dake, and we're going to give you one of these arbor presses because we know you needed it on this last project, and you're definitely going to need it on the next one. Also, we hooked up with our buddies at Hot Rod Magazine. We're going to give you a year's subscription. So when Mother is ready for a V8 in that car, you're going to know how to do it. Now, the rest of you guys, if you want to get your project featured on the show, you got to send it into the website, and we will do our best to get it on the air. We don't care what it is. As long as it's something mechanical, we want to see what you're working on. All right, takes care of it for today. We will see you next week.